listening to The Gender Rebels.
I'm Kathleen, a cis woman and ally.
And I'm Faith, a trans woman.
Gender Rebels is a question and answer podcast that explores life outside the gender binary.
A big thanks to our Patreon supporters.
If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/genderrebels. Hey everyone, I'm Kat.
And I'm Faith.
Faith, do we have any patrons to thank?
We do. We have so many patrons.
Woo!
So many awesome people patronizing our show. And also listening. So, Ellie F.
Ellie F, thank you.
Love to thank you. Mia S.
Mia S, thank you.
Mia S. Ejo.
Awesome.
Ejo K.
Ejo K.
Ejo K, I just have to say to you, if we're saying that wrong, please shoot us an email and we'll say it the way you're supposed to. Chris, we want to thank Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris M, we should say.
Mm-hmm.
Josie V.
Thank
Josie
you.
V. Alexander,
you're awesome.
Alexander is so awesome, they get 2 X's.
God damn.
Yeah. And Ollie J.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very, very much.
We have a cool listener question.
Cool.
Wait,
the listener's cool or the question's cool?
Both.
Ooh,
and
exciting.
it was sent in by 2 people, so we've got triple cool going here.
Yeah, but then each one of them is only half as cool.
No, they're equal.
Oh, they're both
cool.
equally cool.
All
okay.
Person question equals triple cool. You're welcome, listeners.
We do a lot of good math on this show.
Mm-hmm. The question is, hi, Faith and Kath. Love your show, of course. We have a question. We are proud new parents of a transgender girl. She came out to us in her freshman year at college when she was back from spring break. Amazing and so brave. That is what they wrote. And yeah, they are that cool. She's coming home from school this summer, so this will be the first time for her mother and I to have her back during her transition. We are working hard to call her by her new name and get her pronoun right. Granted, it is not easy to remember because we don't see her every day or even hear from her. That's the way she's always been. So we have photos of our daughter on our fridge and hanging around prior to her transition, of course. Not a lot, but just a couple as a toddler and a few when she first went off to college, the obligatory first day of school photo type of thing. We are thinking we take these photos down before she comes home and eventually replace them with new photos of our daughter. Of course, we have none right now since she never liked having her photo taken in the first place, perhaps understandable with hindsight. And that she has been away at school and we have not had the opportunity to take any photos of her. That's okay, we now have an excuse to take many pictures of her when she's back, so we can replace those older photos. Faith, how do you feel about seeing old photos of you prior to transition? Is it painful, uncomfortable, ugly, or just, quote, that was old me, but man, I was cute? Would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for your excellent and educational show. Keep up the good work and rebel on. Thank you so much for sending this question.
Yeah. Oh, that was Ajo.
Ajo?
Ajo.
Ajo and
name,
Ellen.
Ellen, and whose name I hope we say right.
Oh, Ajo.
So, this just made me think of a very fun project.
Mm-hmm.
You could do for transition.
Mm-hmm.
Is what you should do is, I feel like before I even say this, don't steal this idea because maybe Kath and I want to do it and get like internet viral.
Mm-hmm.
But what you do after transition is you go back and you retake every like photo of you that you have. So you dress up like, as a baby and like get the spaghetti on your face.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go do like a T-ball picture.
You go to Disneyland.
Yeah. And then you put on an ugly sweater and do an awkward junior high photo in front of like the Olin Mills laser background or Autumn Barn background, your choice.
Mm-hmm. You do use tinfoil to put your braces back on your teeth?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
And then you can do like a sullen teenager where you're like,
Yeah.
So you could do that and then,
So you like the reenactment?
I like the reenactment. I think that would be a really fun project. And
I think that would be fun.
Maybe this summer you and I will go find some old photos of me and redo them.
There is a cute T-ball one of you, isn't there?
There is a T-ball one.
All right.
So
it's going to get a lot cuter.
Yeah. First of all, it's awesome what you talk about. That's great. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you're so supportive of your daughter.
Yeah, thank you for being awesome.
And I think it's... Did we get rid of? No, we still have a handful of boy photos of me up.
There's a couple, yeah.
Yeah, and we have a lot of photos in our house.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of pictures of us, which is kind of funny. because we're not like narcissists. There's other people in the photos.
Yeah, but obviously we are narcissists also.
Yeah. I mean, we are, but we have the ones that we still have were some of our adventure photos. And speaking of, we are actually in the process of redoing those adventure photos.
We're literally going out and having the same adventures.
Like
that's the only way
one of our
do
photos
this.
was like us in the Statue of Liberty's head, which is smaller than you'd think.
You go up to the crown. Yeah.
And it's like the size of a van. But we
I like that's your standard measurement.
like van sized.
It's like a small room, guys.
It is like a big van. So that's what actually booked new Statue of Liberty tickets for us, so we could redo that shot.
I'm gonna get that right.
And we put up new snow ones. And we just had we have a wall of adventure photos of like us having various adventures, rappelling or doing zip lines or like Statue of Liberty, and we've replaced all of those with new adventures. So we have like a lot of adventures.
We do. So they're different adventures. We didn't go back to trampoline land, and we didn't do the pillow fight in the park again.
No,
we did different new adventures.
We have yet to be back to Puerto Rico, although we're still discussing that for the future because we love Puerto Rico so much. But we have a wall of friends, and I think on that wall we've replaced any of the boy photos.
It's very interesting. The only remaining boy photos, one is a picture of the entire family, and that's so hard to get everyone all together.
That was like 4 Christmases ago or something.
It was a goddamn miracle that we got everyone in the picture. And now there's new family members, little ones, and now you are different, and so we got to redo that. But at the moment, that old you is still up on the wall. And this is funny, we have a picture of people standing in front of the very wall, where there is visible on that wall an old picture of you that has since been taken down. But I'm the only one who'd be able to
So we have a meta picture of me. Okay.
And our picture with the mayor?
We do have a picture with the mayor we got our picture taken with our mayor and on the fridge.
So there's a couple.
There is a handful. Honestly, when it was everywhere, did it bother me? Not particularly. Honestly, it didn't, because to me, that's sort of part of my past.
I mean,
I know it's my past, and also, unlike your situation, Ellen, I'm just going to call you E&E, Ellen and Ayo, I have my own house, so I have like a choice of what photos I get to put up, so I'm less bothered by it than if I went into someone else's house and was like, saw that. I would be like, wow, why do you have old photos of boy me on your wall? Like, that's weird. We haven't been to my mom's house in a while. Does she have boy? I think she did, but I think she took them down.
I think they only have their wedding pictures and the grandkids.
No, we sent them pictures because she requested them.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And I think they have a kid wall.
Yeah.
Her and her husband. So it didn't bother me, but the adventure wall did kind of bother me. I think the only reason was I just kind of, in that one, that was like, that's sort of our wall for us.
Yeah.
And I think that one, I kind of wanted new ones up.
Yeah.
I still see pictures of me, like, I'm not that bothered by my past. I know a lot of people don't want to see that. Don't want to be reminded of that. Wasn't them, really. It was...
Or it reminds them of an unpleasant thing. Like, even if it was perfectly happy and peaceful and not abusive, and it was a thoroughly supportive environment with the transition, even then, it's still like a bad, sad thing that they had to go through just faking it because they were figuring it out.
Yeah, so I think my biggest thing was not that I was bothered by seeing those photos, because I know in my head, you know I lived that. I used to look like that. I lived that life.
You looked in the mirror every day.
I did, and proves I'm not a vampire. I just like that, clearly stated for once.
Not yet, or not at that time.
Not at that time. Yeah. What did bother me a little bit was that I do have a number of friends who have never met old boy me. And actually at this point, it's like we've made a lot of new friends in the past few years. And people who have never met Boy Me. And I love that they've never met Boy Me. They have no clue who Boy Me is.
They've only ever known the real you.
I think most of them don't even know my old name.
It's possible.
And so that's awesome. I love that. So the idea of like them coming in for like a party or coming over for dinner or something and we're hanging out and they see these old photos of me, that part of me kind of does make me go, Of course, I've also posted boy pictures of
before
like
and after.
Here's before and after because the fun I do like
the 10-year challenge.
I like posting the before and afters because I think it's fun to see the contrast.
Me too. So I want to go back real quick. Let's picture a couple of our friends who've only ever met the real you coming here and seeing the picture of us with the mayor, and you say that makes you go. Can you verbalize that grunt? Is that a frustrating? Is it sad? Is it anger?
It's sort of like like I've built a new life for myself.
Okay.
A new reality, a new world, a new me. Really, the real me.
Yeah.
More of me than I've gotten to be
husk.
before, and I guess it's maybe like if I'd lost 200 pounds, maybe I wouldn't want people to come over and see old, big, large me.
Okay.
And I think it's that kind of thing. Like, it doesn't bother me too much because I know who I was. And that this is how I was presenting, this is how I was living my life. But just having someone else see that, I think, is weird for me. If it's someone who's never met Boy Me, and then
they
sees
might see it and be like, "Oh, what is this you?" Like, you want to avoid that whole conversation.
I want to avoid that whole conversation, but I also I like who I am now.
Of course.
And I like that my friends have never met Boy Me. That me being a woman is the one person they've met of me. The one version of me that they've met. And so I really like that that's what it is.
Is this sort of related to being stealth?
It's maybe I'm not stealth at all.
Stealth.
I'm pretty damn open about being trans.
Yeah.
And I think that it's less about that, the more just like, I just don't want to I don't want people to see that part of me.
Okay.
I don't want people to see that. Obviously, we have friends who have known that person,
sure.
But like, I just don't want my new friends who've never seen that person to think of me like that.
I mean, I think you're right. I think there's a total difference between living your life as a trans woman, but a full-time woman and 100% woman, and preferring that people who've never seen old fake male presenting you, never really needing that visual, I don't know, reminder, that visual, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like information. It's okay for them to have an intellectual idea that you used to have to pretend to be boy.
Yeah.
But for them to have a visual confirmation that you used to have to pretend to be a boy is a different kind of knowledge.
It is. And I think there's also some internalized transphobia in that regard, like that I don't want people to think about me being trans. I don't want that,
You don't want people to think about it. They're just, I
just want to be me. And,
girl, that's it.
Yeah, and I feel like it could draw attention to it. And I'm very against drawing attention to my transiness. I'm
wildly successful podcast notwithstanding.
I am not ashamed of my transition. I am proud of all the things I've accomplished and the bravery it took to get here.
You should be.
Thank you. But on the other hand, like when I meet new people, it's not the thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's just because I don't want it to be a situation where they're just talking to me about normal stuff and then suddenly it's like, oh, transition, let's talk about that and let's make that a big deal. And I don't think anyone ever doesn't make a big deal out of it. And
I mean, it is fascinating.
It is, but it's also...
Sorry, you're so interesting.
Yeah, and I bet sometimes Sir Edmund Hillary didn't really want to talk about Everest, okay? As big a moment as that was, maybe sometimes he's like, oh, we were having a great conversation about rubbish collectors.
You're that admirable? What was the oxygen like?
Yeah. How is Tenzing? Is he down to earth, so to speak?
I hear he's so cool.
Yeah. So it's just sort of drawing attention to it. I don't really want to draw attention to it. Again, I'm out. I'm not ashamed of who I am. I will shout it from the rooftops or shout it from a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I will happily march down the Pride streets waving a Pride flag.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel the need with friends and stuff to just broadcast it constantly. I feel like I do broadcast it constantly just by being me, and maybe I don't want to draw extra attention to it.
Okay. Do you want to take down the picture of us with the mayor? Because I've asked you that like 10 times.
I mean, we can if you want.
No, I only want to if you want to.
Oh, okay. I don't know. We'll see.
So that's us in our
That's
house.
us.
So now there's a couple of different settings to think about. And let's specifically think about E&E's question, where you're coming home to your parents' house from your first year in your dorm, right? Mm-hmm. And there's the picture of you as a baby with spaghetti on head, which may or may not be overtly masculine or feminine looking, depending on what color the onesie was that you're wearing. First day of school, awkward teenager picture, high school graduation picture. Not a ton, but you're going back to the old house, and those are still there.
Yeah.
What would that be like for you? As best as you can guess.
I would say I probably wouldn't like seeing it necessarily. Like I said, in someone else's house.
Yeah.
When I have control over what's there in my house, it doesn't bother me, but in someone else's house, it would.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's your parents' house where you lived all your life.
Still, I think
and you're in college. You don't have your own house.
No, I think if E&E want to be like the most welcoming they can be, just take them down. It's not a big deal.
What about
replace them with something else?
You don't think their daughter would come home and notice the obvious lack of photos of her and be like, "You guys, you don't have to make a big deal out of it." Do you think it would go the other way?
And that puts her in that gives her the ability to say something about it and not be like bothered by it.
Should they just ask her?
They could. Again, communication, good thing.
Yeah.
You can always say, "Hey, we have old pictures of you. You want us to replace them? Anything on your Instagram? Anything on your Facebook? Anything on your space photo or whatever kids are into these days?" And just say, "Hey, you've got some cool pictures online we saw, and we'd love to put up some of those instead of the ones we have, maybe, and see how that works." I would say that's a great idea. Do that. Maybe ask. No harm in really asking. And that, again, empowers your daughter to help make that decision rather than walking on eggshells, potentially, for good reasons.
Sure.
For good reasons, but you're going to be nervous about something as basic as photos on your wall in a way that's going to make you a little nervous and might potentially make your daughter go, ugh, and roll her eyes the way teenagers are wont to do. And just ask, reach out, ask, say, "Hey, we could put up pictures of Aunt Beppe or,
or Sparky.
Sparky is very photogenic.
He's adorable.
Just adorable. So I think you could say, "Hey, we are just going to maybe rotate these out or, put up some of your cool ones we saw on Faceagram and run with that."
Yeah, I think asking her is probably a smart and really cool, thoughtful, proactive thing to do. So you visited your dad a few years ago. But he's moved houses since then, right?
I visited him like 8 years ago.
8 years ago, yeah.
We visited my mom last year.
Right, but she's also got a new house, and I don't know how new that house is.
The house is not that new.
Okay, so there were no pictures of you that I saw.
No, my mom...
But also no pictures of your sister that I saw.
My mom was very proactive.
Okay.
In kind of pulling the boy photos. And I believe we sent her a bunch of photos. I think she requested them.
Okay, yeah.
She requested a bunch of photos, so we sent her some.
And when she requested that, did you think she was making a big deal out of nothing, or did you appreciate it? Or
I appreciated it.
Okay, that's good.
And so I think, obviously, you're dealing with a 17, 18-year-old here, E&E. So, yeah, they might they might be rolling their eyes and going, ah!
Based on how we were at 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
we were insufferable.
Obviously, I think every 17-year-old is insufferable.
So, okay. Well, obviously. So then, because I'm kind of trying to think for this girl and what else she can run into. And you're talking about your home versus someone else's home. And at my grandma's house, we had a wall of pictures. Basically, our wall of framed photos is based on what my grandma had at her house. Or the neighbor family next door who are your parents' best friends, and they've got pictures of you playing with their kids, or things like that. That's just doesn't matter at all because it's not your house and you're almost never there. Or would it bother you a little bit to know that that's out there?
You can't. The thing about transition is that you can change a lot about your life. You can change photo on your ID or passport. You can change a lot about your body. You can change your name. You are not going to be able to George Orwell Ministry of Peace. All right.
You can't go to every yearbook you've ever been in and every copy of that yearbook in existence.
Yeah.
You can't.
You can't.
Do that.
You had a life before. Documentation of that life exists. You are never going to be able to scrub the world of it. I would say you're going to accept that. You have to. Sometimes your old name's going to show up on a document or a piece of mail.
Ugh.
I know, right? Hopefully maybe one day when we move, like it'll
taper off.
It won't forward or something because it's just junk mail.
Or PayPal.
PayPal won't update it. But I also have I had an online name that somehow I get credit card offers for
true.
A name I have never used of a person who does not exist.
But you could have a credit card.
But I could have a credit card in their fake name. You can't scrub the world of that. You cannot Joseph Stalin, airbrush yourself out of all these photos. Sometimes I wish I could because there's a lot of pictures of me online that I don't particularly like. That put them online when I was 22 and they ain't going anywhere because somehow the internet remembers everything. So you partly just kind of have to just accept that.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. I think, depending on how well you know those individual family members, if you're close with grandma, and grandma's reasonably cool about your transition, you can be like, hey,
I get you some new pictures.
I brought over a framed picture of me that you can use to replace these. So that would be one option. I think making it a cool gift. Hey, I brought you some new photos that I framed, and then you get to pick the photos. And just maybe that would be one way to do it. I know I've often given my mom photos, framed photos. It's a great way
It is a good gift, first of all.
It's a good gift, especially for parents and grandparents. If you just take a bunch of photos, you can print them off your phone, print them at the drugstore, slap them in a frame.
Done.
Get one of those mixed frames of the frame with 20 pictures and then put them all in there. Parents love that shit. They eat that up.
And so as long as your friends are in the picture, friends love that shit too.
Yeah. So that's one
Not just you, though.
good way to, don't give your friends pictures of you. Unless they're those weird, stalker friends.
They'd appreciate it.
And don't have weird stalker friends.
Don't encourage them.
Yeah. So I think it's going to have to be, conversation. Ultimately, I think this is best done both on the daughter's side and the parent's side of have a conversation. Reach out. Say what would make you comfortable. That's the way you get to be kick-ass parents.
And E, it sounds like you're already being awesome. And I feel like she would appreciate being consulted about this. How does she feel? Maybe she doesn't care, but, it's possible, especially early in the transition, that's just could we not? Could we just not? And then my last variation on this question. We've often talked about the practice and encouraged people in the practice of using photos of their siblings when needing to provide a baby picture. This is a freaking genius idea.
But I thought about doing this for myself because my sister and I look a lot alike. And I was
and you're
like,
reasonably close in age.
we are. And so I have a photo. Obviously, I'm like 5 feet taller than her.
5 feet.
I am probably like
4 inches.
4 inches taller than her, but noticeably taller.
Yes.
So, yeah. So currently today, no, like no one. I could not use photos of her.
No, of course
but,
not.
But 3-year-old sister, yeah, I could probably use photos of her and say they're me.
But
isn't that kind of creepy?
At my last job, they had a baby shower for 2 of the psychologists, and they did this thing where they said, bring in a baby or a little kid picture of yourself. We're going to put them up on the wall with numbers, and everyone has to guess who their coworkers are. And this was my second day of work. I didn't even know what they looked like as grown-ups, so I'm like guessing. But I could see a trans person being like,
yeah,
I'm wearing blue onesies and playing with little airplanes.
Okay,
like, this is not going to be cool.
Here's one way.
Hey, sis.
Go into the computer.
Get a baby picture.
Get a baby picture. That's one way, too. Take your baby picture. Little thing called desaturation. Make that black and white so that the color of the onesie doesn't matter.
Oh, I thought you were saying just Google baby.
Yeah, you can also
Caucasian baby.
Just Google baby and just make sure it's not one of those pictures that says, like, sample.
I was a model.
Every other frame at the store comes with, like, the picture of the people.
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of those that come with picture of the baby. So just get that. And people are like, oh, you were such a cute baby.
I see.
Why does it say 8 by 10 next to your picture? That was actually just painted on the wall.
Yeah.
Behind me.
That was the room I was in.
Yeah. My parents like to paint the dimensions of rooms on the wall. It looks like it's superimposed on the picture, but it's not.
They were very clever that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, cake.
Yes.
I
think you could fake it. We talked about me using my sister's pictures. I have no reason to do it, but the thing we had talked about was that, at the wedding sometimes they do like the photo slide of like the bride and the groom, or the bride and the bride, or the groom and the groom, or the participants, whatever they choose to be called.
The couple or more.
Couple, what a good word.
Except sometimes it's more.
Okay. So, that's why I said participants.
You were right. I should have just stopped at participants.
Yes. The in-wedding-ulated.
The celebrants?
Yes.
Or wait, the celebrant is the priest. Forget I said that.
Okay, anyway. So
that is where your sister's baby pictures would come in handy if we decided to do a photo montage.
Yeah, but I don't want it. But it would be our wedding.
Yeah. So maybe we skip the baby picture montage.
It's the baby picture montage of lies.
Or it's just my picture until you hit 34.
Or it's just pictures of babies from frames, and kids from frames, and like maybe
we just hand out framed babies.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that'll be the...
Maybe some pictures of Opie from Andy Griffith's show.
Why the hell not?
Why not?
The Gerber baby.
The Gerber baby.
Baby kittens. You want babies? Here's a baby picture.
I like that. Just use kittens. Kittens are cuter than babies. Babies just look like Winston Churchill. Kittens are always cute.
Kittens are cuter than Winston Churchill.
They are.
All right. Cool. Well, I think E&E are kind of the best parents ever.
I think they are.
Gosh.
I think
I'm jealous of their daughter.
Yeah. Me too, because transitioned pretty early. So, some of us did not have the courage to do that, self included, or the opportunity. Obviously, things have changed.
The knowledge, yeah.
That's,
don't be too hard on yourself.
I was a freshman in college in '97. I didn't even have an email address when I showed up at college. So, like, it was a different time.
Yeah. Yeah, emails changed everything.
It has.
It actually really has.
We used to have to register for our classes by calling into a phone number.
I did that too.
That was like trying to win tickets off the radio because it was just busy, and like 30,000 students all trying to call one phone number. Anywho, it
was very nerve-wracking second semester senior year when you needed that last theology class, or you don't get to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, E&E, for the awesome question, and thanks for being patrons. Hey, that all coincided at the same time.
It did.
Yeah, we loved it. I think we got it today, as of the day of recording.
We did. I was actually on the way to work this morning, and I read the email and like forwarded it to Kath. I'm like, good question. Should we do this tonight? And she was like, yes. So that was simple. So if your question, if you've asked us a question ages ago and we haven't gotten to it, it's either because A, we don't know the answer, and we're maybe stalling on that one until we figure it out, or it could be that, what is it? There's like a logical fallacy where like the most recent thing.
Yeah.
Recency fallacy. I don't know, it's not recency. That's not a word, but like.
I know what you mean though.
There's a fallacy where the first thing the newest thing is the one that gets the attention.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's that. So if we haven't gotten to your question yet, don't worry. We either don't know the answer or we're getting to it.
Or we've answered like a really similar one or touched on it in another episode. Because sometimes we'll get a question where we're like, so that was like 1/3 of that other episode we did.
We get a lot of very, very similar questions, which doesn't mean don't send it.
Please send them.
Because we love getting your emails. But a lot of times we have gotten those questions. And we get there's a lot of people in the trans community. Whatever your doubts are and whatever your questions are, I guarantee you're not alone.
You
Other
are
people
not alone.
are feeling that same thing because we get these questions and we know. So please keep sending them. And,
And a lot of times, this has happened, I think, at least twice, we get similar questions that we may have done episodes about or peripheral to. We'll do another episode. We'll touch on it again. You are farther along in your transition. You have learned more. I have lived the world for a few years now as the partner of a trans woman and see and notice and recognize things that I hadn't noticed before. Like, we are also growing and we can approach questions from a different point of view.
Also, we might have been wrong on a previous episode.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
I cannot get behind that statement.
I said might have.
Yeah.
Allegedly, we might have been wrong.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, we have literally never been wrong.
No, we're not. No,
Zero
we're capable of
times.
admitting mistakes.
That might be it also.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks, Faith. I had fun talking about photos of you.
And thanks to Eni. We appreciate it. And good luck with your daughter. I bet it's going to go great because y'all seem like pretty cool parents.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. She sounds like she'll have what she needs.
She's got the cool parents. The ones who are like, if you're going to drink, I'd rather you do it here.
You guys like peach schnapps? Don't drink peach schnapps. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, everyone.
Bye.
If you've enjoyed this episode and want to help us keep making more great content, go to patreon.com/genderrebels.
We have many different levels of support and lots of great rewards,
including drinks with the Gender Rebels at Stonewall.
Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. That makes it easier for other people to find us.
And send your questions to questions@genderrebels.com or find us on Twitter @TheGenderRebels.
Music for The Gender Rebels is by Jasper the Colossal. Follow the link down below or download them on iTunes today.
And for all our episodes, visit genderrebels.com.
The Gender Rebels is a Come Back Sync production, copyright 2019. All rights reserved.
And to all you Gender Rebels out there, keep rebelling.
Bye.
Bye. Mia S.
Mia S. Thank you.
Mia S. from.
Yeah.
Should we say where people are from?
No.
Just edit that.